The Lord be with you, and also with you. We have gathered in the name of God the Father, the Son, and Holy Spirit to worship together and to think about our value of justice. Amen. Welcome, everybody, to this time of collective worship. I hope you're all safe and that you're keeping well. Of course, our value for this half-term is justice. And when we think about the word justice, we often think of words like right and wrong, fair and unfair. Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes doing the right thing, trying to be fair, can be tough. Making decisions and choices isn't always easy. We all make many decisions and many choices, and some of them are quick and they might not take much thought, but others can take time. And sometimes with our decisions, we need to learn. We need to ponder on them before deciding to do the right thing. It was a simple decision for me this morning, thinking about what shirt to wear. Blue, green, red or black. A few choices, but there was one hanging up on my mirror, so I just thought, let's go with that. Or another simple choice was what to choose for breakfast, toast or muesli. Well, I had toast yesterday, so I went for something different. It was even a fairly simple decision in getting a haircut. My hair has been growing and growing and growing so much over lockdown that it almost came to my eyebrows. And I thought, to make it much more manageable, much more easier on me, I thought we'd get it cut. Well, with the barbers closed, that meant getting out the clippers and shaving it all off. Now, whether you might prefer it long or short, that's another matter. And I wonder what your hair is looking like at the moment. But I thought with the warmer weather that we're starting to have, it's certainly not as cold on my head. To cut my hair seemed to be the wise and sensible decision to do. It can always grow back. Now, those decisions were fairly easy to make. What about you? What decisions and choices have you made already today? Now ask yourself, how did you come to that conclusion? Why did you choose what you did? You might like to pause the video to think about that further. What decisions have you made and why did you choose them? The idea of making wise decisions requires us to think of the situation in its entirety, to gather as much evidence as we can for us to seriously think about the potential outcomes of our decisions. And so sometimes when we have choices, when we have to think about everything, it's not always a quick and easy process. So let's go back to breakfast. You have a choice of muesli or a bowl of honey nut cornflakes. Honey nut cornflakes or muesli. I've got to be careful, there's actually cereal in this and I'll probably drop this. What do you choose? What would you prefer for your breakfast? Well, I really like the cornflakes. They're just so sweet and moreish to eat. I don't know about you. It will be okay if I have another bowl of them. I've only had them every morning so far. But let's stop and think. Is me having another bowl of these honey nut cornflakes the sensible decision? According to the packaging, there's definitely lots of sugar in them, and it's certainly much more healthier to go with the muesli. Now, you might want, and I might want, the cornflakes, but maybe thinking about all the evidence, thinking about already what I've had so far, and what is more healthier for me, the wise decision is probably to go with the muesli. Don't you think? I can always have the cornflakes another time. So maybe even then, our breakfast, a simple decision, but actually, if we take time to think about it, it takes a bit longer to make the wise one, the sensible one. But then I suppose there's also doing your homework or playing video games. Well, I really want to continue playing my new Star Wars game on my Xbox. It's just so fun to do. I like sitting in front of the telly. But then again, I've got this home learning that needs to be done. But you know what? It's a little bit hard. What should I do? Video game or homework? What would you do? What is the wise decision? Now, sometimes there are times when decisions are hard because both answers might be right, or because reasons for going with either of them make sense. So perhaps with the video game and the homework, sometimes it's good for us to relax, to have times of doing things we enjoy. But then again, it's really important we do our homework for our learning. It's a difficult decision. Now, I'm reminded of a story about King Saul, found in the first book of Samuel in the Old Testament of our Bible. As a young man, Saul had been chosen as king of Israel by the prophet Samuel. Saul had won so many military battles, especially against all those who said that he wasn't important enough to lead God's people. Saul was a very good military thinker, and he knew how to lead an army. However, as we will hear, Saul faces a very difficult decision. And Saul ends up making a choice that finds him losing favour with God. Now Saul had great power and influence over his people. But soon things began to go very, very wrong, just as Samuel had predicted. The first time was before another battle with the Philistines. Saul was supposed to wait for the prophet Samuel to arrive and then offer sacrifices to God before going into battle. The army was growing restless and the army was afraid. And because Samuel was late and the Philistines looked so powerful, many of the men began to run away and hide in the rocks and caves. Saul stared at the horizon, but all he could see were the chariots and horsemen of the Philistines, and he grew impatient. "Why should I wait for Samuel?" he said. "I don't need a priest now. I'm king and I can do everything." And so he prepared the offering himself. But just as he was finishing, Samuel arrived. "Oh, Saul," he said, "you foolish man. If only you had obeyed God, you and your descendants would be kings forever." "I was only asking for God's help in the upcoming battle," said Saul. But Samuel looked at him sadly. "The Lord has already found another man to be king." He shook his head sadly at Saul. "A man after his own heart, who will serve him?" Saul faced a tough decision. And Saul made a choice after facing and seeing such a large army. Many of his soldiers were afraid of being captured, or even worse, being killed. Saul, choosing not to wait for Samuel, as was asked of him, he instead undertook the offering in hoping that God would help them. I wonder, What would you have done? Would you have made the decision that Saul did? Armies facing you, Saul who hadn't come. Would you wait? Surely, seeing such a large army, you wouldn't wait on Samuel. It's getting too late. What if he doesn't come? Now Saul takes the quick fix, the easy answer, what he thinks is the simplest solution, but is not the wisest decision. Saul was too impatient. He didn't wait, he got a bit too scared, and he made the offering to God. And so as he didn't listen to Samuel, he disobeyed God. It's a very difficult choice that Saul made, where maybe there was such a risk that if he waited too long, it would be too late. There is still a part of me, if I'm honest, that sees why Saul chose to do what he did. Because you see, it's not always easy in making wise decisions. So as we come to the end of our time together, we're going to have a mindful moment to reflect on all that we've been thinking about. And then we'll have a short time of prayer. So maybe, as always, you might want to find your own space. You might want to be silent, to have your eyes closed, or holding your hands together, whatever is comfortable for you. So I want you to think about the many different decisions that you will make over a day. How do you make those decisions? I wonder, have you ever needed to make a decision that had no easy answer? What did you do? What do you need to make wise, sensible decisions? Let us say together our prayer, the words which should hopefully appear on the screen. Dear God, please help me when I am making hard decisions and when the answer isn't easy. Give me the patience to not rush to a quick choice. To hear both sides and think seriously of the consequences. Please give us wisdom on the journey for justice. Amen. The Lord be with you, and also with you. Go in the peace of Christ. Thanks be to God. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. I just hope that you just keep safe, you keep well. Remember to be kind, be considerate, be responsible, especially for you all going back to school next week. And hopefully we'll be able to see you very soon. And just remember, as you do, as we all adjust to our new normal again, for us to stop and think and make wise decisions for us and for everyone else. Take care now. God bless.